Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks bringing you the weekly IWM report. That is the Russell 2000 ETF for the week of Monday, August 22nd, 2022. Let's take a look at the charts. They're all weekly bar charts, by the way. We did push through over the last few weeks and settle above the sort of band of channel resistance, the base of which, well, I can't call it the base of which. I'll get to that in a moment. I really think the important critical level at this point of this week is roughly 192.01. And what I mean by roughly, I'll show in a minute because there's a rising speed line that comes in the same area. So 192.01, I really think this market needs to close this week above 192.01 to maintain that buy signal that did play out when we pushed through and settled above these formations, anticipating still the 208.38 speed line. I think over the next 2 to 3 weeks, holding above 192.01, 208.38 in reach, dropping weekly, a descending two-thirds speed line, able to contain monthly buying pressures. We could fall off from there into later September back to the 192.01 channel top within a matter of a week to 3 weeks. Ultimately, there is a case to be made with the violation of this channel structure in the 185.38 to 192.01 area that by the end of the year we could push up and actually test the 244.46 high from late last year. But for me, really, the clarity on that would be a settlement above 208.38 at the end of any week. And then I think we're just about 2 to 3 months away from retesting those highs. Now, that 192.01 level is in close correlation this week with a new rising one-third speed line that is based in part on last week's high. I don't want to get into the depths here of how to calculate it. It's pretty simple math, actually, but it's a fairly dynamic approach to trend identification. And basically, what it's saying here is holding above 191.83, the rally off that June low, the momentum of that rally remains intact. And so we can quite easily push to new highs, push to that 208.38 area over the next few weeks, holding above 191.83 to 192.01. Now, as I speak, I know the futures are down Sunday evening. By the time this goes out, the markets will have been trading. By the time you see this on YouTube, this is a free YouTube post for the week of Monday, August 22nd, and we may well open below 191.83. I'm not quite sure, but any daily settlement below 191.83, I think would be indication that a high for the week is in, and we could continue south. I don't know how aggressively. Bottom line, though, at the end of the week, because this is a weekly chart, if we settle below 191.83, we may unravel all the way back into the 160s again. 164.16 is a long-term 3/8 Fibonacci retracement. A 169.07 is a rising two-thirds speed line projected off that March 2020 COVID low. A line study that we actually tested in mid-June to the very tick actually, and obviously it's held. At the time I was mentioning how it may well contain quarterly, possibly annual selling pressures. This is actually an image of it here. A, B are the two extremes from the 2009 financial crisis low against B, obviously that all-time high. 164.16 is a 3/8 downside Fibonacci off those two extremes, and 169.07 once again a rising two-thirds speed line that is projected off the March 2020 low. The reason I'm spending so much time here is that if we do close below 191.83, there is a case to be made that, say, by the end of October, we could unravel all the way back into that zone of long-term support between 164.16 and 169.07, where we could bottom out through the first quarter of 23, quite possibly through 23 itself. Now, on the way down, I do need to mention there's a rising two-thirds speed line that you should be aware of, because that could be the final destination, if you will, on the sell signal below 191.83. Closing below 191.83, by the way, not only do you have a sell signal with regard to that rising one-third speed line, but you also have a buy signal failure by closing below that descending channel top, which is actually at 192.01. I didn't include that. I just want to simplify this as 191.83 is the level you need to focus on this week. If we close below 191.83, we should, within a week, two at the very most, continue south of that 177.34 rising two-thirds speed line. So with with regard to speed line analysis, when you close below the rising 1/3 speed line, the rising 2/3 speed line becomes your next target, and that's at 177.34. So I think I can comfortably say if we close below 191.83, 177.34 expected within a week or two, where we just may bottom out through the rest of September and from there turn higher, possibly to new move highs within a matter of a month or two. It would be the settlement below 177.34 that would tell me clearly we're likely to test that 164.16 to 169.07 long-term support area. But for those of you play the big picture, a settlement below 191.83 any day this week, and certainly at the end of this week. If you are a longer term position player or an option player, in other words, and by long term I mean over the 1 to 2 month or beyond time horizon, know that closing below 191.83, there is certainly a certain possibility, I'll put it that way, that we can fall all the way back into the 160. So if you wanted to buy 170 puts, 165 puts under that scenario, that wouldn't be a bad play. Just know that on the way down, 177.34, that rising 2/3 B line should be respected for its ability to contain at least weekly, if not monthly selling pressures when tested. I'll be apprising you of these levels on a week-by-week basis. The weekly IWM is a weekly post for free on YouTube. By the way, wickedstocks.com, we do daily SPY, daily triple Q analysis. We do weekly S&P 500, weekly NASDAQ 100 index analysis, weekly U.S. Treasury ETF analysis, typically the TLT, and 2 individual stock picks a week that you never see on YouTube. Let's move on to the charts. Assuming we settle the week above 191.83, 192.01, we're still in reach of 208.38 by the end of September or sooner over the next few weeks, where we could top out through September and fall off from there. It would be a settlement above 208.38 that would tell me that within 2 or 3 months we should claw our way all the way back to that 244.46 all-time high. On the way up, just know that 225.43 will offer meaningful resistance. So if we close above the 208.38 speed line, we're probably just another 3 to 5 weeks away from reaching 225.43, where we could top out on a monthly basis. I think that pretty much rounds it out for this week's IWM report. I'll be back next week with another weekly IWM, and you have a great week. And don't forget to go to wickedstocks.com and check out our premium subscription.